What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio, and I have the pleasure today of speaking with Miss Ash Costello of the band New Year's Day. How you
Hi,
doing, Ash?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Glad we were able to make this work out. So your throat's feel a little bit better today?
Yes, yeah. I have a lot of it's been like the past 18 months of just nothing, and now all of a sudden there's just a million shows and things to record and things going on. So this is like the most singing I think I've ever done in my career, like at one time.
Well, I know you guys were just at Inkcarceration, and I know we'll get into that, but I don't know
Yeah.
what it was. I was there too at the festival for the weekend, and it's just like all the dust and all that. It's like I've been dealing with some throat stuff as well. So
Yeah, I was
um,
watching the crowd from the stage and seeing all the dust being kicked up, and I was like, dude, there's no way I would be able to survive that.
yeah. But usually when I have somebody on for the first time, I like to get a little bit of a background. So what did you originally want to be when you grew up?
I always kind of knew. I mean, my mom will tell you I always wanted to be a singer and a performer. I just at a young age, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know if it meant like Broadway. I thought when I was younger, I thought maybe I wanted to be in like musical theater or I just knew I wanted to perform. And then when in my preteens, the music that my dad and his brothers listened to kind of got me more into classic rock and gothic subculture and metal. So then I decided, at the age of 14 that I wanted to be in a band.
Nice. And then did you do anything like in school, like to work towards that? Did you form any bands with
Oh
friends
yeah.
in high school or find like-minded people?
Oh yeah. I was in a ska band in high school and we played like house parties or coffee shops, lunchtime, in high school. We played school dances and stuff. And that's really like I kind of started a band then and just never stopped. Just never stopped.
And like so I mean you always were singing and performing, or did you play like any instruments and stuff too? Or
No, I always wanted to sing. I mean, I write music, but live, no, not playing any instruments. I just like to sing and perform.
so like started off as a kid and then did the things in high school, and now what kind of like bands did you have after high school before New Year's Day came to be?
I only was in two bands before New Year's Day. I was in a ska band in high school and then a kind of like alternative 80s new wave gothic synthy band for a couple years. And then New Year's Day was started by accident. It was a happy accident. I from being in a band over the years, I'd made so many friends who were in other bands. And I found myself at a party one night with some members of various other bands, and we together in this living room had written a song called Ready Aim Misfire, which ended up being the very first New Year's Day song. And then we thought maybe we should form a band, like all of us. And that's how New Year's Day was born.
That'd be something too if it was like a New Year's Eve party that this happened at too.
I don't think it was. But I did meet them all at a New Year's Day party, actually. Like, well, two of them.
Nice.
Two of them I met at a New Year's Day party.
And like what so then you guys started forming the band, and then what kind of led you to use that name, New Year's Day?
Well, we the story of New Year's Day is weird because we got signed before we even had a name, and they really put the pressure on us to pick a name so we could put out music. So had I known that New Year's Day was going to be my career, I probably would have put more thought into the name because I would have liked something a bit more tough sounding. But we kind of were like, I remember we were all sitting in a circle in the studio and going, what are things that symbolize like a fresh start or like a new beginning or a chance to like start over? And then someone, I don't remember who, it said New Year's Day, and we were like, well, we don't hate that. So let's just roll with it for now. Like 15 years later, that's still the band name.
And it's still kind of tough sounding because those New Year's Eve hangovers are the worst to get up
Oh
from.
yeah. That's
You can
true.
tough it through the next day, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Now,
that's true.
usually, when I have a female vocalist, female performer, I like to try and ask some questions. I'm a father of two daughters, and my oldest is in college right now, but she's going to school for music, and she was in
Oh,
show
great.
choir and everything, loves performing, and would love to get into the music career. What kind of advice would you have for her, like going after her that as a career or her goals in music?
That's a very loaded question, but I do have like my kind of go-to answer for that. That's kind of like the first, like the surface answer, the first thing that I feel like is most important no matter what, because you can really go into detail on this question. And I think having confidence in yourself is a number one priority. There's days even the most confident people aren't confident in themselves, but you have to, it's almost like a skill and a talent, learning how to dig deep and find that confidence in the moment when it counts. And I would tell her to be herself, stay true to her, who she is and what she wants, and don't ever do anything that compromises that.
Awesome. And yeah, it's like a whole nother layer of trying to keep that confidence with like social media today. And there's so many like haters behind keyboards, and just having that like duck feather ability to let it just roll off, you know?
It's hard, trust me. I mean, I tell everyone all the time, uh, I've been doing this since I was 14 years old, and you don't get to this point, you don't get on the cover of AP magazine or the main stage at Warped Tour or the main stage of these festivals or a top 10 rock song without being able to take some hits and some negativity and being able to stare it in the face and believe in yourself and believe in who you are, and keep moving forward. And it's definitely what separates the people that make it from the people that don't, as opposed to talent. Talent's obviously so important, but I feel like I'm not any more talented than anyone else. The people like an Andy Black, or I can't even think of any, or a Maria Brink. Like, the difference between them and other people is that they never gave up. They had thick skin, they kept going. So sometimes that's kind of the most important thing.
Awesome. And then speaking of festivals and stuff, I mean, after this past like year plus of kind of just like being told to sit in a corner, you finally got to get out and play Inkcarceration. How was that to get back out and perform in front of people again?
I'm not gonna lie, I was very nervous. I was super nervous because I thought, like, what if I forget how to talk to the crowd, or like how to move? Because you definitely, like, when you tour a lot, you get into a routine. It almost becomes like mechanical. You know what you're doing. And I realized, like, I don't. So, but to combat that, we rehearsed every day for a week and a half straight. We took it very seriously. We wanted to be our best, and tried to put our best foot forward going back out there. And it paid off because the show couldn't have gone any better.
Yeah, yeah, it was an awesome performance. And like,
Yeah,
now, did you guys stick around for the majority of the day or the whole weekend? Or
we did. Well, unfortunately, we had to fly home because I've got another project that's working right now, another musical project. But we stayed for the day, and we watched Ice Nine Kills and Steel Panther and Slipknot. Our friends. We wanted to support and watch everybody, and we did interviews with Octane and Danny Wimmer, who's the owner and promoter of the entire festival, and
yeah.
just tried to enjoy the day and live in the moment. Just enjoy it, just soak it in.
Yeah, it must have been good to see a bunch of friends that you haven't been able to see in a while, face to face, not through like a screen and
Yeah,
all
I
that.
know. I mean, there's so many people we hadn't seen in years. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm hoping things get back like by next year, hope things get back to the regular routine too. Cause I mean, I know there was still a lot of restrictions backstage because of, the COVID protocols and all that. Like usually I do media back there. So, this year we weren't able to, but
No
I'm
media
glad
tent.
everybody was able to. What's that?
There was no media like tent where
Yeah.
you go, like, kind of jump from table to table, which is one of my favorite parts because I just enjoy talking to everybody. But I I didn't get to do that this year. And we wore masks backstage, and Unless you were drinking something or eating something, then you had your mask on, normal stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, usually I'm one of those tables, but I was still glad to be there, just taking it in actually without any real responsibilities, and just be able to be a fan and feel the energy and watch everybody,
That was
you know,
nice.
back and forth. I know it must have been great for you guys as well.
It really was. It felt a little bit like a tease though, because we played the one festival and now we don't have another one until February. So now we're all like jacked up and ready to do more. And I was like, go back to waiting.
Yeah. Now, so I grew up big wrestling fan, and
Cool.
noticed, saw that you were able to do the theme music for Rhea Ripley, and
Yeah.
I was a
Yeah.
huge fan of hers in NXT and stuff. And you know, just like how did that collaboration come to be with you and WWE and Rhea, and able to put that together and make
Well,
that
I mean,
happen?
I wish I could say there was some like grand plan, but there wasn't. And that's kind of how my life has always worked. I kind of just end up being in the right places at the right time, and I, meet people who I get along with, and then we end up working together, and that's kind of what's always happened. So, to make a long story short, I was in New York doing some press meetings, songwriting sessions, just there for a week for work. And one of the songwriting sessions I had was with a guy that was more of a pop music writer, because I team up with writers to write music. So I will sing or harmonize or strum or kind of hum what I'm feeling, and then the songwriter makes it come to life. So he sometimes it meshes, sometimes it doesn't. And he just goes, I don't feel like I can do you justice. I don't really understand the metal world. Um, but he goes, there's two guys down the hall that have a studio, and they're super metal like guys. So I had a songwriting session with these guys, and we ended up writing a song that made it onto our record called Done With You. And we had such a good time together. They go, we love your voice. We do theme songs for WWE. If one comes up, can we call you? And I was like, yes, obviously, call me, please. I'd love to. And then a whole year later, they call me saying, there's a new wrestler. She's super badass. She loves metal. She already loves New Year's Day. And it turns out Rhea has been listening to New Year's Day since high school. And
Wow.
yeah, and so we got to sing her song. But that was when she was starting in NXT, and we got to be along for the journey to her crushing Wrestlemania.
Yeah, yeah, and that was awesome too. Like, I would watch her on NXT, and when she came out, like, I would tell my daughters to joke around like, "There's your future stepmom," and then I realized I'm old enough to be her dad, and that was kind of creepy. So,
Yeah, she's
but
younger than me.
yeah, and but I mean, just the badass entrance and your vocals and everything, and then when you got to do it live at WrestleMania, that was like sweet. So, like, what was that experience like for you to be there and be able to do that?
After COVID and not having played any shows, having her first show back be the grandest stage of them all is, I mean, it went by like in the blink of an eye. But it was such a great weekend. The WWE world, everyone is so accommodating and so supportive and so nice and so respectful. And, we got to meet all the greats. We got to meet the Hulk, and we got to meet Triple H and Vince McMahon, and obviously so many more. It was just an amazing night. We didn't really get to rehearse very much, but we're professionals, so we went out there and did our best.
Yeah, no, it came off great. I loved it. It reminded me. I mean, I've been a fan for, like I said, years. So I remember like when Triple H hooked up with Motorhead, and Lemmy and them played live at a WrestleMania out to the ring, and I was like, that's just badass. I love when they, for the big show, they actually bring the theme music and bring the performers out and
Yeah.
make it a
It's a
part of
huge
it. So
It's a huge
really,
honor that not very many musical acts have ever been given. So we obviously felt very privileged and took it very seriously and felt very privileged to be there.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, you're up there with Lemmy now. You can cross that off your list, performing at WrestleMania. Now, had you always been like a wrestling fan beforehand, or?
I wrestling was always on when I was growing up, but I didn't really become a major fan of it. I'd say until, let's see, we were on 37 this year, probably like 5, 6 years ago is when I started understanding why it was so great. And that's when I started to dive into like all the WWE and WWF documentaries and learning about being really fascinated about the branding, marketing, and storyline side of things. And I'm just a big branding, marketing person. It's fascinating to me. So then I started to really get into it. And then I started to follow the storylines and started picking out who my favorite wrestlers were now as an adult. And because of course it was Undertaker growing up, because
Yeah,
I always gravitated towards the darker aesthetics.
that's cool. Yeah, and they do a great job with their documentaries. I like when they pull the curtain back and you get to see like, the person with their family or how they really feel when they're not the character, and it
Yeah.
helps humanize them, because some fans just they don't know the difference, and it's like, hey, these are people too. Leave them alone when they're trying to eat and stuff like that. I mean, same with musicians and everything. It's like the fans need to realize that you guys are humans like us, and you just want to be out with your family and enjoy things. Don't, get
Yeah,
crazy.
it's gotten, I mean, I'm not Beyonce, but it's gotten intense in the past like 6 months for sure. And we can't figure out why. Like more than ever, when I go out, somebody is stopping me everywhere we go, which is awesome. But I'm also like, what happened this year?
Yeah.
Maybe it's from
I
Russell.
think everybody's been locked up, and now it's like they're finally out and they're like, oh my gosh, this is probably my only chance. So I better, who knows? But, I also saw that you had been on Chris Hansen's show, Have a Seat. Like,
Yeah.
what can you tell us about that? Do you care to go into the backstory or anything?
Well, I mean, that's another really loaded question, and I don't want to take up your whole show answering that one, but I encourage if someone's interested in it to um check out that video. It's on YouTube of my interview with Chris Hansen about abuse in the music industry and what it's like being a female among a lot of men that think they can control the narrative. So definitely go check that out.
Well, I mean, it's good that you're a voice and, an advocate for others too.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
try to.
definitely encourage people to check that out. So, through the career now, like what would you say are some of your highlights or favorite moments that you didn't think, would, back when you first started, you were like, wow, cross this off the list. I can't believe we actually did this.
There's so many. Honestly, I feel so blessed and so lucky to have come this far. I grew up reading AP magazine, so being on the cover of AP magazine was a big stepping stone, like, or a big milestone moment for me. Having started out playing the MySpace 10 at Warped Tour and then, getting booked onto the main stage, that was a big moment. We finally have played sold out arenas and amphitheaters. I've played with my heroes and I've traveled the world. I've gotten to play WrestleMania. I mean, I don't even know what else there is besides maybe the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I mean, we finally got our top 10 radio song, but I mean, this next year I'd love to go for number one. That'd be a bucket list, something I'd like to check off.
true. So that kind of rolls into my next question. Like, what kind of personal goals do you have for yourself going forward?
Just keep growing. Inner growth COVID has been tough for everybody, but it's also was tough for me and my husband and my mom. And it really showed you a lot of stuff that you had to work on. So just inner growth. I want to continue to walk my path and speak my truth and become more of the woman that I'm meant to be and be a good daughter, best friend, wife, and keep creating music.
That is awesome. I got me thinking too, like, a lot of people were all focused on the negative when we were like kind of initially in the beginning of COVID and had to
Yeah.
lock down and stuff like that. But, I tried to, like you just said, grow through it. Like my daughters are teenagers now, so they're always out with their friends. We're kind of practically like roommates in the same house, and we just cross paths and say hi. But then we were forced to stick together and rebuild that relationship and communicate again. And it was awesome. I mean, I appreciate that blessing, just to reconnect with my daughters and see like, okay, I knew what you liked when you were a little girl. What are your goals today and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
definitely
awesome.
And then like, what's you guys just put out a new album. We'll talk about that. Like, what's the main message or theme that you have with this one?
Well, I mean, I guess it does feel new because the past 2 years have been a bit of a blur because of COVID, but I can't believe it's actually several years old now, which is just shocking because it feels like it came out yesterday. But Unbreakable was just about the really rough 2018, 2019 that I was going through, and I just wanted to find my voice and find my power and take back control and I don't know, just kind of tell myself and whoever else wanted to listen that nothing can break me. Nothing and no one can.
And then going through that process and putting that album together, like, do you have, I know it's like kind of like asking a parent, like, who's your favorite child or whatever, but is there like a particular favorite track that you have on there, especially one that you love to be able to, you feel really powerful performing in front of a live crowd?
I really like Shut Up still. That's still my favorite. It's still my favorite because I really like seeing guys sing it in the crowd, which it was fun because I got to see guys singing it at Inkcarceration, which always kind of blows my mind. So I remember when we were writing it, I wanted to say, don't try and tell me what a girl wants in the lyrics, but I thought I don't want to isolate guys that may feel this way. But we decided to roll with it anyway. And it turns out it didn't isolate anybody. So that's good.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's usually those ones that like are more raw that connect, with the audience, because they feel it something similar.
Yeah.
So that's always good when you get it's like a therapy session between the singer and the crowd, to get it all
Yeah.
out, work it out together. Primal screams.
So true.
And then the creative process, what's that usually like for you? I mean, you say you enjoy like a lot of branding and stuff like that. Are you always thinking in the back of your head when you're creating like song lyrics and stuff like that about branding it and
Yeah, it's always in the back of my mind. I'm always thinking, I don't put it in the forefront of my mind where when I'm writing music, that's the goal, but it's always in the back of my mind where if something I think would be a great platform to spin off a visual, I make a note of it. Or if I think something might make a really great t-shirt, I try to just keep that in the back of my mind and catalog it for later. But my mind's always thinking about the band and the vision and the merch and the music, and it's always on my mind.
And then here's a question I like asking. I mean, you guys have been playing out for a while, playing together. Do you have any particular like superstitions or anything that you do like have to do before every show before you go out on stage that you feel if you don't do it, you're not going to have your best performance?
No, nothing weird like that. Nothing like we just I mean, the one thing we do that would feel weird if we didn't do is we always kind of give each other a group hug and tell each other to have a good show. Maybe we'll like sing a little bit of a song we like side stage, but we always try and like have that moment of like, okay, let's go out there and do this. So that way we feel like united as we walk on stage.
Nice. So it's like a big group positive affirmation and let's go make it happen. So I want to ask you some of the questions I normally ask when I have guests on.
Sure.
Who are some of your top 3 musical artists?
Rob Zombie is one. Billy Corgan, Gwen Stefani,
Nice.
Bands that have a lot of visuals and are really good with branding and marketing, like Kiss is a band I really enjoy a lot. I
Oh
like Rammstein.
yeah.
I kind of don't branch out. I still listen to the same music I've listened to forever and ever. So I just like bands that have a lot of showmanship. The front person is a leader, and they're a clear leader. They're a visionary, and I tend to gravitate towards that.
Now, have you had an opportunity to work with Billy Corgan on anything yet?
No, I haven't got a chance to work with him, but have met him several times.
Okay, yeah, because he's a big wrestling dude. He runs his own company and stuff too. So
Yeah.
that'd be a cool collaboration in the future. I can see.
Yeah, he's a big wrestling guy.
And then, what's like, what class do you feel should be mandatory before kids graduate high school today?
That's random. I've been saying forever, I wish there was a more updated home economics. Because in school I was taught to sew a pillow, and maybe that was not given the tools that I needed to make correct decisions as a young adult, like filing your taxes correctly, balancing your checkbooks, knowing the difference between, which credit cards have benefits, all that kind of stuff. Interest rates, stuff that they just grazed over, but they taught us how to bake a pie. So I
Yeah.
would prefer that more real life tools would be taught to maybe juniors and seniors as they're about to embark into the real world.
Yeah, I agree 100%. My youngest is a senior in high school this year, and I made sure that, yeah, I had to like find it and work with the counselor and ask for it. But there's like a financial management class that she's taking. I'm like, you're going to need this. This is more
Yeah,
important as an elective than
I
anything
had to
else.
teach
So,
myself, and a lot of mistakes were made in the early days.
yeah, yeah, and me too. And some of them I'm still paying for. So I want my girls to be prepared out there, and the game keeps changing. It seems.
Yeah.
So what is like one of your regular like morning rituals or routines that you do to start your day?
Coffee. That's the first thing. Nothing happens before coffee. Nothing happens. I'll wake up. I always scratch my husband's back for a little bit, and then I get myself a coffee and I bring him his morning drink, and we'll watch a cartoon or something to start the day.
Sweet.
Yeah, pretty easy mornings.
And then three people who've inspired you or you can credit for making you the person you are today.
My mom, she taught me how to be strong when life gives you the worst, deals you the worst hand. Be strong and fight and keep moving on, keep moving forward. My grandma, she raised me. She was a practicing Wiccan and horror fanatic. She made horror props and Halloween. She did stuff for Not Scary Farm and Disneyland. She was very creative. So I think I got my creative and kind of eccentric side into the darker things from her. And I don't even think there is a third person. I mean, there's a lot of musicians and artists I look up to, but I I don't think that any of them really shaped me. I think just, the two women that were in my life raising me.
So your home ec teacher that taught you how to sew pillows doesn't fall
No, I did. I still don't know how to sew.
down.
I wish I did.
And then any causes or organizations that you support and encourage other people to check out?
Yes, I'm big into animal rescues. So my favorite animal rescues that we normally donate to when we can is Hand and Paw, Boomer's Buddies, formerly known as Rock and Roll Rescue, Motley Zoo, and there. Yeah, I think that's it.
And then favorite toy as a child?
I think Barbies because I really like dressing up. I like dressing them up. As I've always been super into clothes.
And then you mentioned you know, getting into horror movies and the dark stuff. Like what's one of your favorite all-time horror movies?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
original,
that's one of
right?
the first one. Yeah, that's one of the first ones I watched as a kid. So it's just always kind of been really nostalgic and stuck with me.
Yeah, there was just a Comic-Con here locally, and Robert England was one of the top guys there. So definitely it was worth getting a picture with.
That's cool. Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to have met him several times, and he's always very nice.
And then going back to the wrestling thing, who's your favorite wrestler?
The Undertaker.
All right.
Yeah. Very easy questions. I like these.
And then like what would you want your legacy to be? Like when Ash is no longer here, how do you want people to remember you?
I hope that they remember me as a kind person, and I hope that most people who maybe who have never met me but have listened to my music at least remember that it helped them maybe find who they were or have strength to be who they were or wanted to be. That's always been the goal with New Year's Day, is to give to be an example of unapologetically being yourself and standing up for what you believe in and fighting for your hopes and your dreams and for who you are internally. So I hope that it's remembered as that.
Nice. And then any message you have for our military members currently serving overseas?
Man, just stay strong and know that so many people appreciate their service.
Awesome.
Appreciate what they do.
Now, you said you had another project when you were at Inkcarceration. You had to come back, another musical project you're working on. You care to talk more about that, or is that still like under?
No. So it's called the Haxans, and it's not new. We actually formed it 6 or 7 years ago. It's me and the bass player from Rob Zombie, Mr. Piggy D, and we wanted to start a spooky witchy project. And we got to play our first show finally right before COVID, and then unfortunately we never got to play another show again. So right now there's so much going on, some stuff I can't talk about yet, some stuff I can. We're getting ready to announce about 40 to 50 shows that are all going to happen by the end of 2021. So we have been furiously getting ready and preparing for those, along with some live streams, some shows that no one would ever expect, and a lot of new music. So we've been working really, really, really hard. In fact, it's getting so out of control, we've had to cancel 1 or 2 New Year's Day things to make it happen.
Wow. Well, hopefully one of those days you play out is in the Cleveland area. It'd be great to see you again.
Eventually.
And then like for our virtual audience or people that might be new to hearing about you and New Year's Day and this other project with Piggy Dean, if they wanted to learn more, where would you send them to check it out?
YouTube and Instagram are my favorite ones. Go check out the music videos. The project is called the Haxans, and same with New Year's Day. Just go to Instagram, go to Spotify, go to YouTube, and check it out, because both bands are very visually based.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out too.
Yeah.
And then finally, before I wrap up and let you go, you mind doing a favor for me?
Sure.
Mind cutting a promo ID for the show? Just introduce yourself, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ash Costello from New Year's Day and the Haxans, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Ash. I really appreciate it. I'm glad we were able to make this. Yeah, I'm glad we were able to make this happen. And man, I'm
accommodating. I don't know if you can hear it, but I still feel it.
Yeah, I know. I got like I said, a little bit still myself, but it was great, good talking to you. I really love your perspective on things, and definitely the empowerment, having it, like I said, being a father of 2 daughters. I love to see it. So keep up the good work, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.